Oh, you got 3 minutes.
3 minutes till. Well, 2 minutes actually. So
Do this.
yeah. So this morning we're going to kind of recap what we had last week, and then, like I mentioned, if you have our new construction division training model chapters, that we'll be looking at each category every week and just diving a little bit deeper so all of us can assess our businesses, assess how we're going to intertwine ourselves with new construction at whatever level, and understand that however we're going to do it, it's going to contribute in many ways. And again, I meet every week with brokers, with builders, with clients, and everybody I speak to on behalf of what's being done here on the training. A lot of the builders are really excited to let us know that there is a need in the market, and I hope that after you go training here, you eventually can go into the market and start talking to builders and developers, because a lot of the ones I meet with are excited to keep meeting, keep talking, keep developing. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about, is because markets change, and when markets change, everybody is looking for the next big idea. And that's why we're going to meet here. We're going to talk about market shifts, market changes, how we fit in, and how we can be a really good resource to the builder community, to the new construction community. And with that value proposition, we can build more business. Last week, we talked about process. Process is so crucial, and we have to understand enough of process that takes place in new construction sphere to be able to first guide our clients. And we talked about placing our clients back into where they need to be so they can move along the transaction. I'm closing a new construction deal right now. I did a walkthrough with the client, with the broker. I'd say the client was more excited about buying the home than the broker, and the broker had no idea about the process. And I could sense that. I mean, I don't want to be disrespectful to the broker, but the whole thing is that broker almost butchered the transaction 3 times on behalf of that client. And it had to be me who had to intervene and kind of put the broker and the client back into whatever seat they needed to sit so we can move forward with the transaction. And we did our final blue tape walkthrough. The client's happy. They got the house. They're moving from rental to this home. So what I'm saying is, in our industry, you have to know the process to the extent that you're leading another broker, maybe another lender, maybe the investor, whatever it takes to move the file through. And the better you become, it's called the art of the deal, the better you become in processes, the better you can orchestrate the process of the transaction. And wherever that bump is, or that speed bump, where everything might fall apart, you're able to retain everybody to keep everybody moving forward. And this is really crucial because most transactions fall apart over very minimum stuff. Very minimal. And most of us, if you do a lot of transactions, we should be able to capture certain threads, at least the majority of how files fall apart, or at what stages they fall apart. And this is very crucial, that we, as the leaders, or the ones who lead in the transaction, lead through the process, will keep cultivating that everybody can slowly move through it. We don't live in a perfect world, and that's why I tell a lot of people, so there's going to be a lot of imperfect things that are going to happen. But it's all about how we're going to react and process it through to make things move forward. So process is very crucial. It's a huge aspect. We'll come back to it. We went through 42 line items of new home sales. How does the process look when you build a home? And we kind of talked about where the insertion is of a broker. And we're actually going, as a division, we will eventually build a process time frame, at least a very general one, where we are going to be asking brokers to be involved in these forms. And I've actually talked to a couple companies that do a lot of new construction management, and I've actually also asked them, where's the highest interaction the client takes when they build a home? And I believe at that highest level of interaction is where the broker needs to come in also. So all of these things are eventually going to be brought to you. So when you go and handle new construction sales, you can understand how these processes work. This is a very crucial thing, whether you're working with buyers or sellers. You have to have some kind of a process memorized in your brain how you're going to lead the client. And if you don't, then everybody's going to be really confused throughout the whole transaction. Any questions on process? I always talk a little segment every Friday. I talk about business development. Last week I talked about purpose. This week I just want to talk about two words: time and chance. So part of business development, we are all restricted by time, but we're not restricted by chance. And what's interesting is when these two things cross, this is the opportunity zone. So all of us are restrained by the same time frame. We all have 24 hours, 7 days a week. Here you go. But we can increase our chances. And this is going to be a transition into today's topic. You have to find out what is the season or the time of your business right now. What is it? So I'll give you an example. Out of 12 months of the year, spring and summer are the highest volume-wise in sales. So we as brokers have to manage our time to understand this is the highest. And now how do I increase my chances? So one of the things when I coach, I say you should have showing brokers lined up for these two seasons of the year. Why? Because you want to increase your chances of closing a transaction, more transactions. That means you can't be in two places at one time, but if you have 3 clients who want to be at 3 places at one time, you're stuck. So now you have to increase your chance. So you increase your chances by showing 3 homes to 3 different clients, and the chances one of them might buy a house. But you only can do that via having showing agents. You cannot do that being solo broker. So time and chance are really crucial instruments. And one of a big builder, he used to be one of the builders, he always said timing is the thing. Timing. And I always tell brokers, if you just show up, you can probably make a transaction happen. Timing. If you're at that time when that buyer is at that house and you show up, the chances, you've increased your chances of making a transaction. So timing is very crucial in chance. So when we talk about timing, spring and summer markets, what are you doing to increase your chance of putting more transactions together? And I just gave you an example. So what do I do during the winter? Well, the days are shorter, so I increase my callings. So I can't leverage the evenings because most clients will just, very few will look at a home with a flashlight. So I've decreased my chances, but I have time, so I'm going to increase my chances through calling. So these two instruments are really crucial to develop in our career: time and chance. What is the time? And what is the season? And what are the chances? And this is very important that you are using these as metrics when you're working on your business development. What is the season? What is the time? And what are the chances? So when they say if you want to launch anything new, they usually say in your business you should only launch something new during the winter. You should not launch anything into spring or summer markets. I think we're already spring. We got a lot more daytime now and more light. I know. So what I'm saying is we have to strategize, and this is why this section is called business development of every Friday. We have to strategize over these two things, time and chance. We're all limited by the same time, but we can increase our chances. So coming to this class, you're increasing your chances of making new construction sales. Why? Because I spent 19 years studying this. You're spending an hour or maybe 30 minutes a week. So you're scraping from me anything you can to increase your chances of making a transaction. And I do the same with other. I was at the Tom Ferry training yesterday. I scraped what I needed, from the whole sessions or part of the sessions. So whatever I need to adapt into my business to increase the chances of more transactions. So it's really crucial that we understand the seasons that we are at. Let me hand this out. You got this one. The time and the chance. And every week I talk about a certain business development section that we should slowly start to imply, because what I have figured out from very successful people in the market is they think in formulas. In their brain, they've eventually developed formulas and they process things through formulas. My financial people who are very successful, they process things through financial formulas. This is why ROI exists and all of this stuff. Why? Because when they look at things, they don't make emotional decisions. They make very logical decisions via looking at through a lens of a formula. And that is our goal here also, is that we would slowly develop a mindset where we're assessing things via formula, but not via emotions. So when I'm talking about time and chance, then you have to slowly filter your life, your business through that. What is the season of my business right now? Like I was at the event yesterday, I talked to 5 brokers. Everybody said, the best time to do goal setting is in December. So if like 5 people said to do it in December, then when should I do it? Probably December, right? So I should not be setting goals for the year in January. So these are the things that I pull out to implement in my own business. And all you do is now you're slowly, when you talk to people, so if I do it in December, then I increase my chances of starting a stronger January, which would contribute to business. So all of these, for example, same thing with spring and summer. Homes sell about average 5% more during spring and summer. Because I tell all my clients there's more buyers in the pool. They're going to pay you more money. And then during the winter, I tell all my builders, you might have to give more incentives, offload certain things because it's the winter seasons. There's less buyers. We can look at all stats via showings. Just go into your MLS and pull stats for 12 months. And the showings drop by half during the winter markets. Why? Well, because there's just less buyers in them. I'm not saying there's no transactions. I'm just saying there's less buyers in the market. And this is how we cultivate our business. We look at markets, we look at stats, and we assess all of this and then say, okay, how do I want to place myself in the time and in the chance to increase? When COVID happened, we all got shut down. And I was like, man, this is the perfect time to prospect. I prospected everybody in my contacts. Nobody's going anywhere. I'm calling my investors like, what are you guys doing? One guy is, figuring out how to, extend the loan. Another guy's figuring out how to extend. Somebody's losing stuff. Like, you just start talking to people. And you start figuring out what are these guys going to do in this season of the business. Then you call brokers. Hey, what are you doing and what are you doing? What? Now you're hearing of what people are doing to be successful in that market. So why is this crucial? And this is going to go into our topic today, is because markets are cyclical. There's never a season that the market is stale. It either goes up or it goes down. There are, like, I'll say these seasons, right, where it feels like the market's kind of flat. But most markets, if you study real estate markets, they go up and they go down. And what you have in front of you is a pie. And during these market runs, volume increases and volume decreases on the amount of transactions in each of these sectors of the pie. And today's session is why new construction. That's chapter 1. Why new construction? Because this formulated pie is for, I would say, our immediate market, just for right now, not nationwide, but the pie is changing on how much the market is contributing to the real estate. And another theme is the market complementing your business? That's really the theme of today's thought process. Are you where the market is? And if you're not, then you're going to miss the chances of capitalizing on that market. So if you look at the sheet and you look at new construction, and last year, BIA said 39% of all transactions in Clark County were new construction sales. 2023, 39%. So this is why I'm in front of all you and the camera and our market center, because we saw this started to, we started to track this 10 years ago, but the development to this intensity has happened in the last about 5 years. So what is the market? How's the market complementing your business? So I call my title rep in Portland. He does all new construction. Call him 24 months ago. I go, how are you? He's like, very busy. Call him 12 months ago. How are you? I'm very busy. Call him 6 months ago. How are you? He's like, I'm very busy. Why? The market is complementing his work. So what I'm saying is markets are cyclical. And market expand, market contrast. So market contrast when we enter a season of distress. Market expand when when we are going up. So when we're going up and the market is expanding, how do you bring new inventory to the market? Only through new homes. So for how many years, since about 2012, we've been expanding? You go to Richfield, there's a new school. You go to Richfield, now there's a new shopping center. You go into Richfield, now there's a new Costco. What's happening? It's called market expansion. So what are you going to do to increase your chances to make more money on this market expansion? So market are contrasting. But what's the first sector that contrasts? Is resale. Why? Because home sellers do not want to move. So we're going back to chances. Is the market complementing your business? So resale is slowing down. Why is it slowing down? Well, because people do not want to give up their 2% rates, and we've talked about this. And I've talked with my builders and the lots and houses, and everybody's like, yeah, new home sales are still going to continue. And wherever the market goes, I mean, can we be in a recession in 24 months or 2-3 years? We can. How long will the recession? I don't know. But the question is, if our market goes from here to here, what are you going to do about it? So we went from here. So say this is 39%, say this is whatever, 60%, right? And 5 years ago, maybe this was like 15%, and this was, 85%, right? And distress was probably like 2%. So what I'm saying is when the market shifts, are you going to shift your business for the market to complement your business? This is why I keep saying that we have to know at least enough of each sector so we can slowly have the market complement our business. Because what's going to happen when people lose their jobs and you're sitting down for an interview to sell their home? Well, you're going to talk about distress, how they can't pay their bills, how they need to move, this is what's going to happen. And the question is, are you ready for those conversations with your clients? It's going to push in your direction whether you want it or not. New home sales, same story. Solo brokers as teams, even here locally, they've been very, like, oh, where's the volume? Where's the volume? And it's like, well, the volume just, the market just changed. So you have to move slowly where the market is going and how it's complementing you. So we talk about why new home sales is because the market currently is complementing new home sales. When the market goes into distress, new home sales changes. It's from new homes to remodeling. So you start to see a lot of the fixer flippers. So this category just changes, but it still exists. All the subcontractors who did new homes now start to do renovation. That's kind of how the market start to shift, because people see that if they buy something older, which is a little cheaper, spend a little bit of money on renovating, they can still own a home. So people tend to do that. They tend to go that direction. And we've talked about this because new home sales are about, in our local market, they're about $100,000, at least more from the base price than a resale home. You can find, a new home. You can find a SFR for 300 plus. It's hard to find a new home sale for 300,000. So the market, how is the market complementing your business? And I know it's hard to hear this, but all of us have to have a new construction understanding. And that's why on March 22nd, 23rd, on one of our communities, we'll actually post this. We're going to have a two-day training on site. So we call this in-house training and then on-site training at one of our projects in Battleground. Myself, I will be there for a Friday training. So will John Gerard from Quail Homes. And we're both going to talk about the community, and both on Friday and Saturday we'll have about an hour or two for a broker tour, and brokers can show up, and we'll have a session or two on new home sales and new home builds and how kind of it all works and flows and how the communities were developed and so forth. So I'll send that invitation. We're working on the link right now. But what I'm saying is 2024, 2023 was a huge contributor. And I think this year nothing's going to change. So I think this year, 2024, 2025, I think new home sales is still going to dominate a lot of transactions that are going to take place in the market. So why new home sales? It is a solid industry. You have a lot of financial backings in new homes. Not only that, you have the backing of Wall Street. Since 2008, Wall Street has become very heavily involved in financing national builders, and that's why today we have more national builders in Clark County than we did in 2008. It's because this is an industry that is a solid industry, and investors all the way from Wall Street to our local investors are willing to invest into new home sales. It's a solid business. I mentioned this, all successful brokers, actually yesterday, who was at the training, if you looked at all the video virals, they were all new home sales. That is the most attractive thing that can be out there, is new home sales. People want to see the latest thing, the latest fashion, the latest design, the latest new technology that is placed into homes. And all the videos, most of the videos that were viral yesterday that they used as examples at the Tom Ferry event were new home sales. So, I mean, he didn't mention that, but I sat there, I looked at it, I turned to my buddy, I was like, boom, look at that. Like, that's what people want, and that's what we should take to the market. There are many deep layers in new home sales, and that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. So if you take apart a broker business model, brokers have to focus on sales. That's one division. We're going to only do a bird's eye view. Brokers have to think about marketing. What else do brokers have to think about? They have to think about prospecting. They have to think about prospecting leads, lead generating. They have to think about finance. What other hats do brokers wear when they run their businesses? We kind of covered all the bases. These are the biggest ones. So if you take a builder and his business model, and this is why you want to study new construction, they also need sales. They also have marketing. They also have to prospect. They also have a finance department. So up to here, nothing has changed. So when brokers ask me, it's too hard to sell new homes, but what has changed? Nothing. It's just brokers don't want to study this on deeper layers because that's what the builders are expecting of them. But when they're running their own business, they can kind of get away and float it. But in essence, brokers have to study sales. They have to create sales, transactions. They have to understand marketing and branding. That was part of yesterday's subject. Branding. Are you going to brand yourself? You're going to brand a company? How are you going to brand? Because they even said in 5 years from today, branding is what all is going to matter. Then we talk about prospecting and lead gen. Well, builders have to prospect too. They have to give prospects. You have to study finance here. Lenders, pre-approvals. Well, they got to do the same thing for their clients too. So a couple more things that these guys have that you guys don't have. They have investors. They have investors, bankers. They have land acquisition. They have to have a higher level of management skills because to build homes, it takes a lot of management skills. And they probably have more overhead in their company financially than we do. So what I want to say is if you're developing these things for your business, you can also develop this for a client that's a builder's business. Out of these categories, you know what the builder just wants to do? Is do this. He just wants to manage and build homes. That's all what the builder usually wants to do. If you can take all this off their plate and integrate it with your business, and all they do is build homes, they're going to be the most happiest clients you can ever meet. So why new homes? Why new construction? Well, because new construction is going to elevate your own business to a higher standard. So the reason most brokers don't want to go into this territory because they have to elevate their own business to a higher standard. So when a builder comes and says, help me sell 5 homes, now you guys scratch your head and figure out, oh, I got to go learn some marketing skills. Oh, I have to figure out signages. Oh, I have to figure out design. It's good problems to have as a broker. You're growing. But most don't want to sign up for that stretch. Builder goes, hey, I have an overhead here. I got to move this stuff fast. You're like, I never thought about that. So how do I prospect now at a higher level to increase closings and transactions and sales? Your builder here says, you know what? I got some investors knocking on my doors. This thing's going to go BK. And you're like, whoa, distressed sale. So so if you talk about motivated seller, these guys are very motivated. All the time. I don't even care, national or local. We had 3 Garrett Customs and Spyglass. They didn't move them in 2 months. They got motivated. They're pushing their marketing and salespeople to get that thing sold. They started to put some heat on them. So what I'm saying is, if you and I decide to challenge ourselves in new construction, all it will do is increase us and increase our business. Because when we're starting to service the client, we have to start to increase our own business. And it's with me too. I have to stretch my business. If I have a client right now and says I have 3 subdivisions and I need them sold, well, then I have to sit there and figure out, what do I need to do to help this guy out? Like, how many people I have to bring in? How many salespeople? What marketing techniques do we have to start using? Where are the buyers coming from? Like when we had our La Center project 6 years ago, we're like, where are these buyers going to come from? Well, we're going to steal them from Ridgefield. So we're like, we're taking buyers from Ridgefield and we're going to tell them that living in La Center is better than living in Ridgefield. And we made a bunch of promo video telling people that living in La Center is not as bad as living in Ridgefield. It worked. People showed up. So what I'm saying is, you will stretch your own business by starting to work in new construction. The guy in promo video yesterday from Canada, he did all these modern. I'll tell you one thing that stretched his mind. He learned new home sales by doing those promo videos. As simple as that. Because he has to talk about his product for 11 minutes. You can't just say carpet. You got to figure out what kind of carpet that is. You can't just say, oh, white quartz. Like, I mean, how many videos can you talk about white quartz? I mean, you got to figure stuff out, right? So one of the marketing things that this broker did when he started to market new homes, he had to figure out the product. He had no way around it. So new home sales, when you ask me why new homes, and that's our first chapter in our training, well, because it's going to stretch your own business in many good ways, in many new opportunities, in many layers of development that you've maybe never considered to do. I mean, talk about land acquisition, lot development, and we can keep going here. And guess what? If you take all this and start bringing it in under the broker business development, well, that's how much more valuable you just became as a broker. That's how much more valuable that you just became as a broker. When you're taking a lot of this, up to this tier, almost all of us are the same. But then you start taking this tier and you start learning about this tier. You as a broker became so much more valuable. And we had to sit down with an investor, right? What happens? Well, because I go down this tier, I understand how to hold this conversation with this client. And every layer deeper that it goes, the more you understand as a broker. Then you start to capture these clients because these clients talk to you, and you can keep going down the list of the conversations. And as a broker, you have no issue doing that because you absolutely know what their world contains. These are builders, and those who run companies, they're just as human beings, just like, I know it could be maybe a little bit intimidating. Oh, this guy builds 100 homes a year, this guy builds 20. Yeah, I mean, they float a lot more capital than most brokers do. That's back to finance and banking. But I mean, we should learn banking and investing as a broker. We have to. We're running our own business. And as small business owners, we should understand how much capital flow, goes through our company. If we need to increase sales, well, we already talked about that. Increase time and chance. You want to increase sales? Well, work more hours during spring and summer. That's when you're going to make more money. You you need to increase marketing. We're sitting here, and I'll give you some spiffs. I'm like, well, if you want to do viral tours, you better do it through all the summer. It's the most guaranteed best weather. You can manage the weather the best, and you can make the best virals through summertime. And you do virals once a week through whatever three months of summers. That's 12 virals. So what I'm saying is all of these strategies we have to implement and develop and reassess, but this is why new home sales is so important. New home sales is important because it's going to stretch us in our own areas of business development. Questions on this?
I was actually wondering about the market cycle we were talking about earlier and market share outside of the bubble bursting in 2008, where there was a lot. One of the reasons we have such short inventory is because builders couldn't afford to build because the bottom had fallen out. Aside from a catastrophic market event like that, it seems to me that new construction, because it's a business as opposed to the individual resale homeowner, is going to remain much more steady in absolute value of transactions, where so kind of have that cyclical, whereas maybe a little less bumpy ride is new home.
So I think new home sales kind of cuts the mountains and the lows. That's what it really does. Yeah, as a market share, correct. So say in 2019, when markets were starting, or 2012 actually, but the market started to go up, say new home sales started to become a huge proponent of the market in 2014, and now we're at 2024, right? So for 10 years, there has been an expansion of new home sales and more market share year over year over year. Now we're at the peak where, say, we're at 40%, and so far the market has been complementing builders, so they're going to keep building, and they're going to move through their inventory. Yeah, absorption has slowed down, but it hasn't stopped. So they'll still keep selling and moving through the market. So say we go down, and now it's 20%, but they're still building homes. Okay, and this 20% might go down to 15%. And then on this run, it's going to go back to 45%. But I think on the next up run, the starting point of the rate is going to be higher coming in out of the bottom than it is this time around.
Even though the percentage of market share changes,
correct,
the sheer number of actual homes being built remains
correct.
Steady.
So, because from Eastern Oregon all the way up to Bellingham, I-5 corridor, I met with one of our financial gals about a year ago, and she said 65% of new home sales was nationals along the whole I-5 corridor. So what that means is, there's more Wall Street money in the real estate market, that it means there is stability, even though the market, if it does go down, Wall Street ain't disappearing. You know, they'll bankroll it, they'll government roll it, I don't know, they'll figure something out, but stock market ain't going, it's not going to disappear. So all these national builders who are attached to Wall Street, they're not going to disappear either. Smaller local guys will disappear. Well, but they might just do less inventory. That's about it.
Individual homeowner can sit on the sidelines.
Correct.
Making a living.
Correct. And I don't want us to be scared of this. I'm just saying we have to be very time and chance. We have to be very strategic how we place ourselves. Question. Okay. So, I mean, I'm just showing you one cycle. I mean, if you look at 2000s through like 1998 through 2008, it basically was the same storyline. 2005, 6, 7, you know, construction was booming like insane. Like they couldn't, you know, same thing like right after COVID, you know, new homes were just booming like insane. They couldn't build enough enough to sell them. So why new home sales? Hopefully all of us are slowly being convinced that this sector is here to stay. It's a strong industry that is funded by a lot of deep money. And the challenge, I think, for each one of us is going to be, how do I get my business into that sphere and at what levels? And we're going to keep talking about this every Friday. I mean, we're going to develop more content, more data, more opportunity. The division is going to have more resources. It's slowly coming, but it's coming in stages. And the whole goal is that this division would have a lot of good trained brokers in this area, and at least some of my head knowledge that I have over the years I can slowly bring to you, and you guys can go into the market, start talking to more people, start overlapping with more sales offices, talking to more sales reps, talking to other brokers, going to Tom Ferry events, and understanding that a lot of these brokers do sell new homes as part of their business volume, and they have big accounts. So all of this stuff can slowly start to cultivate in our thoughts and our processes in our minds. But the whole question, and I'm going to go back, you know, how much is the market complementing your business? And it's very simple. You know, if people are buying blue cars and you're trying to sell a black car, the market wants blue cars. So you better paint your car from black to blue and take it to the market. It's as simple as that, right? Like the demand, the demand is there. People want new homes. The whole concept of the American dream is it's all surrounded around new homes. A lot of marketing has already been done on behalf of you. So why wouldn't we kind of infiltrate our business slowly into that arena? And a simple viral of a new home sale is or, you know, slowly starting to cultivate marketing in new home sales and wrapping yourself in new home sales, or doing, I mean, we have so many ideas you can do in new home sales. Like just say, hey, I'll give you a how-to, I guess. So just pick the best zip codes like Camas and Richfield. Those are like the best zip codes, say, in Clark County. And then like start posting new home communities on your social, on anywhere, that, hey, I heard about this new community. If you have any questions, let me know. I can take you through a tour. So why zip codes is because schools, people go after the schools, and you're just going to follow where the market's going to complement you. Now, what do people want inside of those zip codes is they want to know what new home sales. We have all the data on new home sales, so we can pull up all the communities for Camas, and I can send you a link. This is something we're just giving out for free, right now, just to cultivate and build this up. You want all the subdivisions in Richfield, I can give it to you. And then you could say, hey, there's 5 communities in Richfield. If you have any questions, dear buyer, dear seller, let me know. I want to take you through this new community. And this is slowly how you start to drive traffic of people towards you. because you're offering the market what it wants. The market wants blue cars. You're slowly delivering through yourself that here I can sell you blue cars. Why don't you just come over and look at what I have to offer? And then you just run maybe an open house or two, and then you slowly infiltrate yourself into that. And then we can talk about geofencing marketing and all of that. That's part of one of the categories of marketing. You heard a lot of marketing stuff yesterday. So the whole Tom Ferry event was probably just a huge overcap of marketing. Yeah, how can you market yourself into the market? But I'm giving you how you strategize how to market yourself into the market.
Was that recorded yesterday?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I could ask my title rep gal because I didn't see any cameras, like official cameras up and rolling, so probably not. They should have. They should do like small run up, stuff, but it is what it is. Okay, any questions? Hopefully you're convinced why new construction is important. So, and with that, our session is over. So have a great day. Thank you for coming.